It's Tuesday, September 26th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with a 2 down bar. We took out the low of the previous day. We held below the midpoint of the previous day, and it was a good directional day where we kind of opened up near the high of the day and moved down most of the session long in two clear waves in the morning and then a secondary trade in the afternoon. So basically coming into today, we had that little reversal looking day yesterday, and I had discussed on the recap how the continuity is still down. So either we were going to continue up a little higher. That was kind of the early expectation, maybe to broaden out in this area, fill in a gap, something like that. But as long as we kind of held the midpoint of the prior week, which if we look at the big weekly bar, then we're still biased to the downside, looking for opportunities to get short. Well, the opportunity unfolded right out of the gates here, where we kind of trapped all these buyers from yesterday and opened up much lower near the low of the pre-market range between the blue lines, near the low of yesterday. And then you had the classic, the first on the 15-minute chart, looking at the structure on the day. The first bar kind of was green a little bit. You kind of sensed after gapping it down like this, you were going to take out yesterday's low and all the continuity to the downside. So there were aggressive ways to get short in here on this first bar if you really wanted to do it. If you wanted to wait, then you ended up getting short here on the official breakout of the first bar. Went down in one push, pause, second push down. There's your morning trade right there. And then obviously we came up and boom, you had the big red bar here. Somewhere in this area you could have got short again, looking to take out the lows of the day. We continued towards the next target. That was kind of the reason you can take a secondary trade. I discussed on the one of my earlier videos when I bought puts on the SPY that this yellow line was a target. So on these first two pushes down, you didn't reach that. That's why you still had a target to hit here on this secondary move in the afternoon. And that target comes from the weekly chart. Once we kind of had a 2 down week continuation, here was our next target. Then you have I have this other yellow line because there's a gap in here. So we still have room to even continue lower. So in other words, on the daily chart, I'd still play continue, as long as we hold the midpoint of that bar, I'd still play continuations to our next target. Obviously, this is the best trade today, potentially of the week, because you had the the pullback first and then the continuing and then the move down. That's what you're looking for. So I ideally want to see the pullbacks first and then have all the continuity to the downside when the buyers get trapped. But you can get continuation tomorrow. We'll see. We have reference points now, midpoint of today. As long as we hold below there, we'll expect lower, at least to take out that low. We'll see where things open. And if we somehow rally up there, if we get above this open, that's kind of the open of the week right here, we could be getting a reversal we can play. You just never know. But at least you have a reference point, and we'll look at structure and see if we get above the midpoint, and maybe, if so, maybe even get above the open of the week. But other than that, I'm still looking for down. There's still a lot of continuity to the downside. There's targets down there. But every time you make a big move down there, it becomes a little exhaustion risk. So I'd also be comfortable with kind of taking out liquidity. We'll look for little like targets up here, for example, take those out to the upside, then fail, then go lower. If you don't want to play continuation, those are the types of moves in a downtrend you look for, taking out buy side liquidity and then, rolling over. So that might be what develops for the rest of the week. This might be the easiest day of the week to go short. But again, if, it's still biased to the downside towards this next target, and we will see how this weekly chart ends up. Again, we're coming to the end of the month with a strong red bar, so it looks like we'll follow through into October. There's a target down here, even below that yellow line. So definitely all to the short side. We've kind of known that ever since this big breakout here of these two inside bars, and we've had a lot of good trading to the downside. So today was another one of those, especially after the kind of the kicker pattern where you kind of closed near the highs yesterday and opened near the lows of the day. That was a great sign to be aggressively short, and it was a great trade to buy puts today early on, and you had two pushes down and even a third push down. So we will see if we get continuation tomorrow, as long as we hold the midpoint of this bar here. We'll look for that low to be taken out and then see how much continuation we may or may not get towards our next target.